Welcome to Purpose. I'm your host, Corie Clark. I'm just a normal girl who decided to go for it. I created a thriving business from the ground up without sacrificing my sanity, and I believe that you can do the same. You were created on purpose, for a purpose, and I fully believe you can turn that purpose into profit. Each week, I'm going to bring you practical advice to help you live your life and grow your business on purpose. Thanks for tuning in to another week of Purpose. I am your host, Corie Clark, and I am so thankful that you are here listening today. If you have not done so yet, would you do me a huge favor and head on over to iTunes, subscribe to the show, and leave a review? I would absolutely be so thankful for it. And I actually owe you guys a huge apology because last week I said I would be back for a bonus episode on Friday, and I completely failed at showing up. I ended up having a crazy week. I had a lot of interviews, podcast interviews for future episodes. I had a Facebook Live with Coach Glitter, who was on last week. So it was just kind of a crazy week. But I'm back. I'm excited. I'm actually heading. So today, when this episode drops, I am going to James Wedmore's BBD Next Level event. And it's a 2-day event. And I actually don't know what's in store because it's the first one I've been to for Next Level. I've gone to his BBD Live event, and it's just amazing. So James is one of my business mentors, and his whole team of coaches are just amazing. I'm really excited for what I'm going to learn over the next 2 days. And another thing is I just now opened, I've had so many people reach out to me and say like, Corie, you need to start a mastermind. But I wanted to start something that was geared towards people who were in the earlier stages of entrepreneurship. So they're already starting. They've kind of got their online business going, but they're just really struggling to get something off the ground and going. And they're struggling with building a list and figuring out which product to offer and how to launch that product. So I am starting a 90-day mastermind, and it is called Purpose to Profit. And I am going to dive deep with a small group of women, helping them just get into the nitty-gritty of their business, find where the holes are in their business, help them create a fail-proof campaign that will bring them leads and sales and put that on autopilot so that they can have more time with their family and doing the things they love. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, you can just go to CorieClark.com/18. So that is the show notes for this episode, and I will have a link there to the mastermind page so you can learn a little bit more about that. So, okay, sorry to keep you waiting. This week we are diving into an interview that I did with my friend Janine Mix. Now, Janine and I have known each other for I don't know, maybe like 7 or 8 months. And she is just amazing. So Janine has over 20 years of hands-on experience in every area of the retail industry. She went from cashier to a nationwide corporate trainer. She's helped open stores in premier locations like Beverly Hills and SOHO, New York. She's worked with celebrity clients, government organizations, and now she runs a private consulting agency for retail business owners. Okay, you guys, this girl is the real deal. So if you own a brick and mortar or a retail shop, or if you know someone who does, you need to make sure they listen to this because Janine, seriously, I have seen the work she does, and I've seen some of her clients and their successes, and it's crazy. So tune in. It's a great episode. I can't wait for you guys to meet my friend Janine. All right, you guys. So I am so excited to introduce you to my good friend, Janine Mix, and she is a retail consultant. She loves helping retail businesses all over the world. I'm just so excited to have you on the show today, Janine.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to your audience today and absolutely love connecting with you anytime I can.
You guys, so Janine really is like a friend, and we had this really awesome day together with Jasmine Starr teaching us all about branding. And so we just connected, and I love Janine to death, but I actually love so much about her, how passionate she is about her business. So can you tell us a little bit about how you even got started in this industry?
Yes. So I've been in retail for the last 20 years, which is crazy because I'm pretty young, but really, truly, since I was 10 years old. My parents are kind of how I first was introduced to entrepreneurialism. And my mom left her 9 to 5 banking job. She'd been working for 25 years to open up the store. They bought a store in our town called Geodes and Gems. And it was Native American jewelry and pottery and art and, like all the things. It's funny, all the things that are super cool and trendy now, like all the desert
Yeah.
stuff and like, the abalone shell with the sage. Like my parents were selling that 20 years ago and I didn't think it was that cool. Now it's hilarious. But yeah, I kind of call them my hippie parents. They definitely my mom, she like made jewelry. She taught me how to solder. Like it was just really cool. She did a lot of jewelry repair. And I got to grow up in that. And literally at 10 years old, I kind of joke about it that while my friends were playing video games, I was learning QuickBooks. And I think that was like the starting stages of me loving numbers. And of course, with my mom being a banker, she ran numbers by me. She treated me like an adult. And I got to go to markets with her. I got to do buying. Like it was the coolest thing. The first time I ever went to market, literally at 10 years old, and you're getting like free samples and stuff. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. I would have never imagined that 20 years later, I'd be doing the same thing with clients. Like just couldn't have imagined that journey and the path that like God kind of took me on. So after I graduated high school, I went to a private university in California. I paid my way through school, which meant I had to have multiple jobs. And so the thing that I knew was retail. I wasn't always good at retail though. It is kind of funny when my mom would leave me on the floor. I think it was like one of the first times she left me on the floor by myself. I mean, I was young, so she didn't like leave, but she like all the time, but she left because she had to make a deposit or something. And I remember this customer walking in and I didn't know what to say. I was like, hi, welcome in. If you need anything, I said, don't bother to ask. And then she just stormed out. And I was like, what did I say? And I realized I said, don't bother to ask instead of don't hesitate. And it was so funny because like for years, I couldn't talk to a customer. I just was like so nervous that I'd say the wrong thing. And literally at one point I worked for Quicksilver in California, was implementing lots of different programs and things with them. But I remember like a customer would walk in and sometimes I'd just like go hide in the back. Like I was so nervous to talk
Wow.
to people after that. And then, so I'm paying my way through college. I get out, I've got a pretty hefty student loan and, I moved to LA, like the most expensive city you could go to, with lots of student loan debt. And again, the only thing I knew was like retail. So I wasn't really pursuing my degree much. I was, but not really. I was trying to survive in LA. And I started noticing that if I could talk to different customers a certain way, or if I could get them more comfortable with me, I could sell better. And I'm also very, very competitive. You've probably already learned this about me. I'm very
We both are.
competitive. Yeah. And so different stores that I worked for many different retailers, big and small. They would have contests and things. I would always blow it out of the water. And I started kind of developing my own technique for sales. And then it was, let's see, there was one boutique. She actually was a Russian designer and she was 16 and she was making her entrance into the US. And so I got recruited to just be a salesperson. And it was really cool because I got to go from startup stage of this company that was big in Europe, but making their entry into the US, and got to help open up stores in SOHO, Beverly Drive, literally from East to West Coast, like 20 stores very, very
Wow.
quickly. And it was such a cool experience. And in 8 months, I had gone from a sales associate to assistant manager to working in corporate, training all around the country, new stores how to sell, and getting them started and helping them open and do their grand openings. And it was crazy. I'm 23 years old. I think it was 22 or 23. And I had a corner office on Beverly Drive overlooked,
Oh
like
my gosh.
I could see the ocean. And I was like, my life is the coolest. And they were like paying me to go to different places and travel. And literally I thought I was living my best life.
Yeah.
And then it was 2009. And they grew way too fast, way too big, and went under. So in literally a year, I got to see this company thrive and tank. And I worked with celebrity clients. They had a lot of celebrity endorsers. They had a lot of private events that I would do, different movie premieres, and I would be their go-to person for those things. So I got like so much experience from that. But then they closed, and it was heartbreaking. It was totally heartbreaking because I'd put so much into that and I really didn't know where to go. It didn't take long for someone else to recruit me. In this store, it was called LF Stores. Have you ever been to any of those stores? They're pretty heavy in California.
I don't know if I have
LF
actually.
Stores. They're really, really trendy. I would definitely say pretty young, and I was pretty young when I was working there, but very trendy. They do a lot of their own manufacturing. Loy First is the owner. That's why it's called LF Stores. And what he gave to me in that experience was a sense of ownership. And so he had put me in one of his struggling stores in Santa Monica. And within a few months, I'd turned that store around. So he started like moving me to different stores. And it was really an incredible experience. And they were so supportive. It was like just before the holidays in October, when, in retail, like you're not allowed to leave.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go to Africa on a missions trip. And he was so supportive.
Wow.
But I think beyond the culture and everything he cultivated, he really did teach me a lot about how to run the business, everything. And he was hard on me. I remember during the interview, literally I was a tomboy growing up. So it's really funny that I'm like more fashionable as I've gotten older. I tell my husband I've gotten better with age, but literally in the interview, he made me like stand up and describe my outfit. And I was like, and I had come from this 16-year-old Russian designer. Okay, these clothes were like funky, right? And I'm like, oh my God. And he's high fashion. And so he was very hard on me in like the best way possible. And so eventually I met a boy in LA, and definitely typical like met a boy, fell in love, moved for him story. We moved to Montana and just kind of wanted to hit the restart button on our lives. And I remember when I left this boutique, they were like, if it doesn't work out, you're pretty close to Denver, like we'll open up a store. Like it was just such an incredible experience.
Wow.
Working for that store. We ended up moving to Montana, and it worked out. We're married now. And turns out we really love Montana. And so never moved, never really pursued that. I ended up helping a store that had just recently opened up. Everything from, I've done it all, everything from marketing, sales, management, buying. I've been a jewelry designer. I've wholesaled. I've, kind of every aspect of retail. And it kind of took this pivotal moment in my life to just, like you probably can relate, to just realize what I'm good at. And know that there's something in that I can create into my own career. I always wanted to be my own boss, or I wanted to own my own store. And I really thought about that. And I could have pursued either owning my own store, and I still think about it every day. Every day I walk into a retail store, I tell my husband, I need to open up my own store. I would love to do that. But then I think about how many more people I could help than opening my 1 store or 2 store or 5 stores, right? Like I just know I have, my purpose. I have a greater impact on this world to help other people see their businesses provide for them and their community. And that's really my heart. And so one day I just was like, I got to do this. I've got to take all of this experience and create a business. And so I've been doing this private consulting for the last 3 years. And it's been highs and lows, just like every, bit of when you take that leap to go out on your own and you're not sure where your next paycheck or customer's coming. Like that's how it was for the first solid year. And then also deciding, did I want to do retail? Did I want to do business consulting? Like, what was I good at, and what did I love and what did I not? So it was a really good learning year. And I realized like, no, it's all about retail. Like I think in retail, so many people think that it can't be a career. It's just a job. Like even managers who've been with their retailers for years, they're like, it's just a job. It's not really a career. They're not really confident to talk about that they work in retail. I just think that couldn't be further from the truth. Like it
Mm.
can be whatever you want, and it's a very fun atmosphere. Like you get to dress people to build confidence for them to go do something incredible in their form of work, in their world as a mom, like whatever that looks like, or you get to help pick out a gift that creates laughter. Like there's just something really, really cool about that. And if you're in retail, that's why you love it,
Yeah.
And so I fought it for a lot of years and I was like, oh, retail, it can't be a real career. Boy, was I wrong, because in the last year, my business has grown exponentially. I'm helping retailers now all around the world. And it's insane. It's insane to me. I feel so blessed and honored to be serving the community that I serve and the retailers. And I just want to see them succeed.
Yeah. I love that. And I love seeing just like, or knowing like the full story and how, I mean, you did like, that's amazing. When you said you had that corner office with the view of the ocean, I mean, I'm like, dang, like, I wish I could like go visit Janine there.
I know. I wish we were friends then.
I know.
I wish I had more friends then. I mean, I was working 60 plus hours for
Yeah, I
sure.
know.
But
I'm
I do
sure.
remember like watching the sunsets go and just thinking, those moments in life when you question if you're an entrepreneur and you're wondering, what should I be doing with my life, or am I in the right career? There's those moments in life where you feel so fulfilled. And
Hmm.
that was a moment I'll never forget. And I think as I got older and, different experiences happened, I lost my dad. There's just a lot of things that happened. We had a huge business failure go down where we lost $400,000, like just tons of stuff in that experience that shapes you. But at the end of the day, you have to take a step back and remember those moments that you just felt completely called. I
Yeah.
hate that word, but you know what I mean? Like completely called and resonating with what
Yeah.
you're, and that was one of those moments, was working for
Yeah.
that company. And I think about that moment often, and I think it's crazy that I'm basically doing the same thing. I'm training all around the country. I go and I train teams personally. I have online programs as well, but I prefer to do it live and connect with the
Hmm.
people. But I'm actually doing that, but I'm doing it for myself now, which is even
Yeah.
better.
That's amazing. And that's such a testament of like how you really truly like you can be completely happy with your life. It's your choice. And then it's also okay to start to like shift directions. You
Mhm.
don't have to keep doing what you're doing now if it starts to not be the right thing. Like
Yeah.
it's I think that can be a huge hang up for people, and I kind of went through that last year with like, yes, I love having the planner business, but that I don't feel like that's the only thing I'm called to do.
Yeah.
And
Don't
so,
you think that that's like the struggle for women too, though? Like we want to do a lot of things and we're capable of doing a lot of things. And I think it is listening to what you're good at,
mhm.
listening to your heart and what you want to do, who you want to serve. And I think it's also important to have those losses and those trials and those errors, because it just helps you get more clarification. Like I would never
Totally.
go back on any of my journey and be like, I wish I could have done this differently. Like the business failure was one of the most besides losing my dad, that was like one of the most painful experiences of my life. And
Mhm.
one day I had to wake up and I had cried and cried every morning for just like months. It was like losing a child is what it felt like.
Mhm.
It was a bad deal. But man, I woke up one day and I had to be like, I have so much more to offer the world than this one failure, than
Mhm.
this one. And in my mind, it wasn't a failure. It was a success. We got involved with wrong people,
Mhm.
but I had so much more to offer than the few months that I spent working on that business and getting it where it needed to be. And I just was like, in the grand scheme of life, this is going to be a vapor. Life is but a vapor, right? And this is a
Yeah.
moment. And I can choose to let this moment um, refine me or define me. And I got to make that choice. And I'm like, I'm going to let it refine me and I'm going to pick myself back up and go. So I think also in trying to figure out your path and what you should be doing and what fuels you have to have experiences like that to know, well, that wasn't it. Like I'd
Yeah.
be miserable. It was a completely different industry. I would have been miserable in that industry. It was the
Yeah.
wedding industry. No way. Too much
Yeah.
stress for me.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And you have to have some failures. And as scary as they are and as painful as they are, And I mean, another thing I've learned is like failure, like, is only defined by you. You know, most of these things really aren't even failures. They're just, okay, well, that was a lesson. And now I know to change things. And,
Yeah.
you know, people can look at someone like you or me where we are right now and not realize like we've been through some really crappy stuff. Like, it is not all like rainbows and unicorns over here.
Yeah, never. If
So,
anybody's like shooting out rainbows and unicorns, they're totally lying to you because
yes.
no one gets where they are without some elbow grease and some pain.
Yeah. But people just don't see they don't see the journey. You know,
Mhm.
nobody would even know this until like they listen to you, what you've been through. They just see like your success that you have now. And so, and I think it's true with anybody that you look up to, like in whether they're a celebrity or a business owner or, you know, just someone in your community, there's a much bigger story behind that person.
Mhm.
So, okay. So let's shift to you're helping like boutique store owners,
Mhm.
and I love that so much. I worked in retail and I actually loved it. And I always, to this day, I'm like, I would love to have my own shop, but I also don't want to be like tied down to it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And so, but I love that you're helping because I am such a like huge believer in mom and pop shops. And so when you walk into any retail shop, like, do you automatically can you tell right when you walk in, like, where they need help or where they're thriving?
Yeah, that's totally my genius zone. And that's why I do a lot of on-site consulting too, is I can literally walk into someone's store and it just lights up like the stars align for me. I can see where they can be more efficient, where they can introduce more of a process to streamline, where they can work on their staffing and their training, where they can build their marketing strategy and define their customer more. And that's when I do one-on-one consulting, I spend a week in someone's store. I learn everything about it,
Mhm.
and I prep a lot before the numbers, all that. I pull lots of reports before so that I know what I'm getting into so I can hit the ground running. But absolutely, that is what I consider like my God-given gift is I can definitely do that. It's hard. It's hard to like enjoy shopping these days because like, oh, if you just asked this or if you just did this, you could close the sale. But what's really, really cool now is I'm getting customers all around the world. And so I just went to New Zealand with my nephew and my husband. And there were several people that have gone through my online program. And I was able to go check out their stores and they
That is so
recognized me
awesome.
and I got to see them actually implement the information. I mean, they upsold me like crazy. And I was eating it up. I'm like, you're doing everything I taught in my program. I'm going to keep buying and say yes. Cause I just want to
Yeah.
like validate that they're doing the right thing. And Ryan's like, oh my God, stop buying stuff. But, uh, but yeah, and I just love that. I love that. And I get to see the heart and the vision and the why.
Mhm.
Women don't have a brick and mortar just because, oh, I really love jeans. No, they
Yeah.
love serving people and customers and they want to bring a smile to their face. They saw something in the market that was lacking. They thought they could do it better and probably are doing it better than the box stores. And I think that's what I get to see too. I have another retailer, she's in my insider group, and she lost her hearing when she got pregnant. And then when her daughter was born deaf. And there was like no history of deafness in her family, right? So she's got a nonprofit multi-million-dollar retail store that
Wow.
donates hearing aids. Cause then or like the implants, because when they developed that technology, she got her hearing back. And that was a life-changing experience for her.
Wow.
So that's her why, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's ultimately why I have my business. I want my business to help people, help retailers become more profitable. I think that sometimes people start a business because it's fun, but the numbers aren't always fun, right? Like
Yeah.
figuring out the budgets and all that stuff. And I think that's what I can help implement and make more fun.
Mhm.
Uh, and then help them make more money, because if they can make more money, they can bless their families, their community, their staff. I mean, truly think about every little league thing that needs sponsorship, or all of that is coming from local businesses. I believe they're the backbone of our society. And I think the biggest thing that I always hear, and I hear this on my ads every single day, and it's like, retail is dying, everything's online. I'm like, no, it's not. Online is another platform and an area to leverage your business. It's what I've done with my business, so I can work with more retailers, but
Mhm.
it doesn't mean the brick and mortar experience is dying. People love an experience in a store. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. Retail's always changing. Right now it's going through a revolution. So are you pivoting in this day and age, or are you just still doing the same thing you've been doing for the last 10 to 20 years? Because if you're just still doing the same thing, you're definitely going to fail. But I
Yeah.
think you can pivot and be super successful. And, people compare local brick and mortar to, well, what about Sears? They just closed, and Toys R Us, look at all these people. Well, they didn't do anything different for the last 50 years. Toys R Us ended up sourcing out their online toy industry to Amazon, which killed them,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't mean that brick and mortar is dying. It couldn't be
Yeah.
further from the truth. I think that some people struggle to run it like a business, and that's like every entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are just thriving. I was in Florida, as you know, the last few months, and there was a store that bought my program that was 15 minutes from me. I was like, I gotta go see her store. Like, I'm right here. I believe that God puts us in a path for a reason, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm 15 minutes from the store. I'm going in there. And I went in there, and it's the smallest town. She does $6 million. And I was
What?
like, what?
Oh my
And a huge
gosh.
part of that success is her drive and the owner and the culture she
Mm-hmm.
builds. Her staff, when they were talking about how much they loved working there and their passion, I mean, they were almost in tears. Like, that
Wow.
this owner and this store and these customers were giving them so much fulfillment that all they wanted to do was crush those numbers. And I'm like, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
it was really, really cool. So I think there's just a lot out there. And as you know, like, online is amazing to leverage your business, but it's not for everybody. In fact,
Yeah.
for the majority of what I'm seeing, retailer, brick and mortar, they're spending 10, 15, $20,000 on an e-commerce website trying to compete with Nordstrom's. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to happen,
Mm-mm.
when they could be putting that money into different marketing strategies, different targeted marketing, leveraging their online omni channels, in
Mm.
just a different way. So that's kind of where my passion is, and why I love the brick and mortar. It's
Yeah.
because their why is so strong, like, they just make a huge impact in the world.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, what do you think is the biggest mistake? So, if I had like a retail shop or you walked into a shop, what do you think is most common that these owners are focusing on the wrong thing? Where if they just shift their focus a little bit, like they're putting all their effort into one thing that you're like, like that's messing you up.
I think it's not that owners are putting it into one thing. It's that they're trying to do all things. And
Mm,
so they're trying to wear all of the hats. They're spinning all the plates in their business, and they're not focusing on where they should be putting their time. Maybe some of them just want to work with customers. Then you got to build a team that's able to manage your business day to day for you. Maybe some of them are so stuck in their numbers and books that they're not looking up and developing their staff, right? So for me, I think it's that the error is, or the thing that I see that they're doing wrong is they're trying to do everything. They're
mm,
not hiring a manager. They're not hiring a team because they're afraid. How am I going to pay? They're not paying themselves, most of them, which is like very unfortunate. And one of my biggest goals is like, pay yourself.
yeah.
But then they're like, well, if I can't pay myself, how can I pay someone else? And you know what it's like when you hire a person. It is scary, but you never regret it. Unless they're like the wrong person, you
Mm,
never regret leveraging other people's skills and talents. So I would say that. And then I would say the thing that I see that no one is doing is training their staff. I
mm,
mean, truly training them on sales, which is why I launched Sales Crusher Blueprint as my very first course, online course. I've been training with this program for the last 10 plus years, but is because, they get a new hire. The new hire comes in, they show them all their product, they show them how to ring things up and put it into the system, and then they're like, okay, be friendly and helpful with staff. And then they have this expectation that these people are just going to produce like crazy numbers for them. And
mhm.
then they're really disappointed when they don't, and when they hide behind the register, and when they don't really drive the business. So I think there's a lack of an expectation and a training there. And I think it should be before anything. People
Mhm.
can pick up a POS system pretty fast. That
Yeah.
should be like the last thing they learn. I think the first thing they should learn is how to work with people and how to sell, and be comfortable selling. That's another misbelief, is that in order to drive more sales, I'm going to be pushy. I don't want to be a pushy salesperson. I just think that that's an excuse because they're uncomfortable and they don't want to be shot down. No one wants to be shot down when you're like, hi, welcome in. What can I help you find today? You're excited. Someone just came in and then they're like, oh, I'm just looking. And they're just completely shot down and they don't know how to address that. And so I go through a lot of that in my Sales Crusher Blueprint online training, but that is the number one thing I see every single store. I'm going to do a private video one of these days where I go in like to the Mall of America and just show people like this is everywhere. This is the same experience everywhere for not only the stores and the staff, but for the customer. It's the same questions. It's the same greeting. And it's like, just do something different and you'll stand out.
I love it. That's amazing. I think you do need to do like a little reality show where you go into these stores. Like you for sure have to do that. You could have like a little YouTube. Like
I just need to figure out like legally how do I do that, blur faces and stuff, because I do want to go undercover and I want to go undercover as an employee, like, and show that I can sell anything without knowing about the product. I mean, knowing product is important, but like without knowing the product and without knowing the customer, I can sell anything. I just think you have to be good with people and people don't train on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then even going back to like what you said, the biggest mistake is them trying to do everything. And that's true for any bit, like even with you and I, like what we do as entrepreneurs and consultants and, training and that kind of stuff. It's so hard to hand stuff off, but it's so true because if there's something that you're not necessarily amazing at and it's wasting your time where you could be creating or serving or consulting, like you have to get it off your plate. And even if it is the wrong hire, you're still learning a lesson from it. Just like the other failures, okay, you're learning, that really wasn't the right person for the job. I need someone who's more, whatever, this personality. But it can be scary, but it is definitely the best thing you can do. And even when you think you don't have money for it, it's actually the best thing you can spend your money on is hiring out some help.
And you have to invest in your people. Retail has a ton of turnover. You're going to have seasonal people. You're going to have people that don't take it seriously. Maybe they're in college. They're just trying to make a paycheck. That's fine. How do you create a culture that gets people to stay longer with you? And are you creating an opportunity for those people who've been there with you for 2, 3, 4 years? Like, are you truly creating a career for them? Are you offering incentives for your team, bonuses for your team? I just don't see enough owners doing that. And I think that's one of the biggest pain points is like, I can't find the right staff. Well, you're not creating the right opportunity. And guess what? The best person is not going to walk into the store and say, oh, I wanted to work in retail my whole life. You got to go find them.
Wow.
You got to go recruit them. You got to have an experience in someone's store with someone else and be like, whoa, I need someone like that. And again, I just don't think that retail owners are really doing that proactively.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. This is like so beneficial. And my parents and sister just opened up a retail store in Franklin. And so,
I want to see it.
I know. You need to come out when I'm out there one time.
I would love that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's just so much to learn. And I love that. I mean, you are truly so good at it. Like, I've seen the success of your customers and clients, and I just think it's awesome. And so if I ever decide to go for it, I know exactly the first person I'm hiring.
Well, that's what's so cool. Like I do help businesses with startup. Like one of the boutiques I've been working with for several years now, she's become a very good friend. That's the fun part about this business too, is most of my high level clients, like they are my friends now. And I'm their biggest fan. And she opens her store in May, and it's been a 2-year journey, and getting a bank loan, doing all she needed to do to get prepared. So I work with businesses in startup and businesses who are wanting to franchise and build multiple locations in multiple areas. And I work with different retailers all around the world. Right now I've got clients and customers in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, all over the US, and we'll start getting into the UK probably this year. So there's just so much opportunity for success. And if you're passionate about what you want to do and you want to get better, you have to seek that. You have to seek different programs, different help. Like everybody needs a coach and a consultant. I've had a coach before. I sort of do. I've hired them now, but to make you better, to push you, to get you uncomfortable. And I think that's one of my biggest pieces of advice would be like, you got to get uncomfortable if you're going to grow.
Oh, I 100% agree. And that's what's changed our life. Honestly, our life, I would say more than our business, is having like joining that mastermind, having like our coach, because they push you and they make you uncomfortable. So if you're not willing to grow, then then don't do that. But if you're willing to grow and you're willing to like have them help you bring out the icky stuff in your life that you're trying to hold on to, it's the best thing you could do.
Yep.
So amazing. So, okay, I have a couple questions that I ask all of my guests. So the first one is, what is one piece of advice that you have for someone who is starting out in business?
Okay, this was the piece of advice that I got that changed my life. And this was the pivotal moment of me going onto my retail entrepreneurial journey. I was in a Pure Barre class doing abs, and this is what the instructor said. It literally changed my life. She said, are you in your comfort zone or are you in your war zone? Because those two things are very different. And I was sitting there like doing abs, and I'm like, I feel like I'm in my war zone, but I just really like thought about that in my life. And I was like, am I comfortable right now? Am I comfortable in my job, my steady paycheck, my this, like, or am I in my war zone? Because she said, change only happens in your war zone. And I was like, And I just like took that into the extreme, like everything from when I wake up, what time I wake up, to what am I doing with my life? Am I uncomfortable or am I comfortable? And it's helped me stay on track. It's helped me push my boundary. But if you want change in your life, if you are unsatisfied, which I kind of feel like we should always be unsatisfied. There's so much to explore, and like, you have to get uncomfortable. You have to live on the edge of fear, and you have to get past that, because once you're past that, there's a whole opportunity waiting. And that was really truly the advice is, so are you in your comfort zone right now, or are you in your war zone? You
I
get
love
to this.
that. I love that so much. That is like, yeah, that is like 100% true. Wow. I'm going to be thinking about everything I do today.
Yeah.
Am I in my war zone today?
Right. And it totally keeps me in check when I'm not feeling like I want to work out today. I'm like, okay, well, that's my comfort zone. What am I really wanting to do? Well, I want to see change in my body. Well, that's going to take getting in the war zone, girl. Like, and same with like the business. Like, okay, I'm comfortable with this online program. It's doing well. Well, no, I'm not okay with that. I'm not satisfied with that. I want more. I want to serve my customers more. So I'm getting real uncomfortable. Just hired 3 team members. Like, we're game planning next month for another year and a half worth of getting uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, for anybody listening that is in retail or is wanting to open a shop or whatever, where can they find you? And do you have anything special that you can offer them?
Yes. So you can find us, our community, at thecompleteboutique.com. And I have a free class that I offer daily. It's a free retail sales masterclass. And you can go to thecompleteboutique.com/free class. You can also register right on our website too. So that is where I would send you. It's a free class. It's 45 minutes with a 15-minute Q&A. Literally from this free class, one girl told me, she sent me a message. She goes, I only got through half of the class because a customer walked in. And so she decided, I'm just going to try one of the techniques she just heard from my class. And she had a $2,000 sale.
Oh my God.
I don't know how many like free classes can convert that quickly. You know what I mean? And I'm like, it works. If you take that information, it works. It's not maybe for everybody. Some will, some won't. So what? It doesn't matter. Maybe your experience level, whatever. Have your staff go through it. Like, I believe that this free class is, and I've seen it, and I'm getting messages every single week about its success and how people are implementing it. So go take that free class. That would be the start. And just connect with me on Instagram too, Janine Mix, at Janine Mix, or at The Complete Boutique. I would love to get connected with anybody and answer any of your questions, get you connected with the community of hundreds and thousands of retailers that we have.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. I love that you're like, people are seeing that like just halfway through your class. That's
Yeah,
amazing
it was so cool. I was like, I hope she went through it again. Like, I hope she
to
rewrote
finish.
next
Yeah.
year. I was like, because imagine what she can do with the full class. You
For
know?
real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, and I'll put all of your links in the show notes so people can find them there. But thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your story and your expertise. I think you definitely like for sure taught me something today. So I just truly appreciate you taking your time to be on the show.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to share.
Of course. All right. Thanks, Janine. Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Thanks so much for listening, you guys. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Janine. She is amazing, right? I mean, she seriously just is a wealth of knowledge and wisdom, and not just for retailers, but she just has so much wisdom for marketing and sales, and I absolutely love her. I hope you guys follow her on Instagram and get to know her better. You can find all of the details. You can find a link to her free class, all of that good stuff in the show notes or at corieclark.com/18, just the number 18. I'll have links to all that there. Thanks so much for listening, you guys, and I will see you back here next week on Purpose.